In every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. for Legally Yours with John Fuller, right here on WOCA 1370 AM and 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, thank you, Dan. It is 7 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in to The Source, WOCA. It's the day after Christmas and still kind of a slow day here in radio, but that doesn't mean we're stopping at all, right? No, not at all. Where's your microphone? How come I don't hear you?
I'm here.
Whoa. Oh, that was
Boy, that was a rush. Gosh.
Well, you know, and the
Wow.
I have everything set differently, so.
Okay, here we are.
Back to the way we normally
Yeah.
All right, so I had some of the biggest stories of 2013 from Florida. Now, we've got another day when we're going to do the biggest stories of 2013, period. Mm-hmm. But these are the biggest stories of 2013 from Florida. And actually, this was from a contest. There was no winner, but they were just basically asking readers to determine the top story. This was, when I say they, I mean the Orlando Sentinel.
Okay.
They kind of ran this. Okay, so the George Zimmerman trial would be one of the nominees as the biggest story of 2013. It was the trial that both captured and divided people watching across the nation and around the world. It even divided us a little bit here. I think you and I disagreed on that one a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Remember right?
Yeah.
A jury of 6 women found George Zimmerman not guilty of second-degree murder in the shooting of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. Mm-hmm. And over the course of 3 weeks, jurors heard testimony portraying 2 different sides of Zimmerman. Prosecutors called him a wannabe cop who took the law into his own hands, which is how I saw him.
Oh, exactly.
The defense said he was a well-meaning neighborhood watch volunteer who shot an unarmed teen in self-defense because he feared for his life. In the months that followed his acquittal, Zimmerman found himself back in the news after his wife, Shelley, filed for divorce in September. A few days later, the estranged couple was involved in a domestic dispute in Lake Mary. No charges were filed after investigators were unable to retrieve video evidence said to be on an iPad that was broken in the incident. Zimmerman was arrested again in November at an Apopka home after his new girlfriend, Samantha Scheib, called 911 saying he pointed a gun at her. And again, the charges were dropped. And there's one part of his story that is not in this. Remember the story of, it was 2 stories. One, he got pulled over in Texas for speeding.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, I remember
And then
that.
there was another one where there was an overturned van or something, and he helped to pull some of the victims out.
Yeah, so they wouldn't be hurt. So
2013,
That was
the
a good
year
one.
of George Zimmerman, it did separate some of us, even here at the radio station. I believe that if we all got together, we'd all have some differing in opinions of what we felt about his guilt or innocence. Not unusual, though. And in fact, it's one of the things I'm proud of is that here at the radio station, we don't all jump on the same bandwagon. We develop our own opinion and express it and sometimes adhere to it and sometimes allow ourselves to be talked out of it.
exactly.
And that's what debate is supposed to be about anyway. So so the top stories from Florida from 2013, the George Zimmerman trial being one of them.
Okay.
In March of 2013, a big story in the state of Florida, students were evacuated from the University of Central Florida's Tower 1 residence hall shortly after midnight on March 18th or maybe March 17th as campus police rushed into the building responding to a 911 call from a student who said his roommate pointed a gun at him. Remember this story?
I do remember.
Terrible story.
Yeah, awful.
Police found 30-year-old James Sivakumaran dead in his dorm room from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Near the body, they found a bag of improvised explosive devices, a handgun, a rifle, and a hastily written to-do list that included, quote, get drunk, pull alarm, and good luck and give them hell. In other words, he was going to wreak havoc on his fellow classmates. The guy's 30 years old. Not that any age is understandable more than any others.
Yes.
The young man's family described him as a loner, but said he did not have a history of violence. Classmates said he left little impression on them before his suicide. Investigators could not determine a motive or a manifesto, and they said that Sivakumaran was not known to be involved in any group. An interview an internal review, found that the University of Central Florida campus police responded commendably to the incident in focusing on the student safety and sharing updates. So the attack plot and the suicide was the big story.
I remember that.
From March of 2013. That one did not continue as the Zimmerman case sort of kind of did. Only because once the guy was dead, he was dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Another story from 2013 from here in Florida that shocked us all was in October of this year. Yesenia Suarez's mother became worried after she had not heard from her daughter after learning there was an incident involving her husband the day before. So she called 911 asking for a well-being check. You might remember this.
Oh, yes. I do.
When Volusia County deputies went to Suarez's Deltona home to check on her, there was no sign of the 28-year-old or her two children, 8-year-old Michael and 9-year-old Thalia. Suarez's husband, Luis Toledo, later showed up at the home and was arrested after investigators say he attacked Suarez at her workplace in Lake Mary the day before. Toledo was later charged with second-degree murder after deputies said he admitted to killing his wife but claimed someone else killed the children. By the way, the children are not his own children. The bodies of all three remain missing despite numerous searches around Volusia and Seminole counties and even help from Texas EquiSearch.
Oh, yeah, and they came out and they're pretty reliable on finding remains, so that's just a horrible ongoing story.
Despite deputies' claim that Toledo confessed to killing Suarez, he later pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder. No charges have been filed in the deaths of the two children, by the way.
Yeah, should have been first degree. He planned it. That's what I believe.
Anyway, so far, 3 stories that made the news here in Florida in 2013. And then there was this story, I remember the 12-year-old girl who was being bullied by some other 12-year-old girls. And so she jumped off of a cement silo and killed herself, remember?
Oh, yeah, that was horrible. And those other girls that were doing the bullying, they didn't get anything but a slap on the wrist. That's awful.
That was back in September. And it was in Polk County. Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd called it one of the saddest situations he had ever seen after determining that 12-year-old Rebecca Sedgwick jumped off a 3-story tall cement silo in Lakeland, and she died. The girl's mother said Rebecca was bullied online by her former classmates for more than a year.
Yeah.
About a month later, deputies arrested 2 girls, ages 12 and 14, for aggravated stalking after one of them admitted online that they had harassed Rebecca online. The sheriff said the girls told Rebecca to drink bleach and die, unquote, and repeatedly told her that she should kill herself.
The parents of those girls should have stepped in earlier and just,
Maybe they didn't know.
Gosh, but for a whole year, that's just so awful.
Attorney Jose Baez, who represented Casey Anthony, by the way, in her murder trial in 2011, signed on to represent the 12-year-old named Caitlin.
Yeah.
Saying there was no proof that she tormented Rebecca to death.
Oh, gee.
And harshly criticized Sheriff Judd's decisions.
Yeah.
Prosecutors later dropped the aggravated stalking charges against both girls. Judd said he was pleased in the outcome, saying his goal was to make sure these children never bully anyone again. Rebecca's mother, meanwhile, planned to bring a civil lawsuit against the 2 girls' families and is calling for Rebecca's law, which would carry harsher penalties for bullying and cyberbullying.
Oh, sure.
So let's just dissect this one for a second. I think we disagree on something here. I don't think that the 2 girls, 12 and 14, should be facing lifelong sentences for that. You disagree, right?
Oh, yeah.
You think they should?
Yeah, because you know better at 12 and 14. You know what you're doing to somebody, and you're destroying that person, and you're doing it intentionally and getting a laugh out of it.
Yeah. Well,
So
no, I'm not saying it's
just go
right.
away.
I'm just saying a lifelong sentence, something that would be with them for the rest of their lives. I don't think so. It was words and not actions, and I'm not saying they were right or that it was good to do, and I'm not defending them. I'm just saying that the decision that was made by everybody involved to scare the heck out of them by arresting them and then to let them off easier than they might otherwise have been was probably the best thing they could have done to accomplish what the goal was, which was to make sure they didn't do it again. My thoughts on it, I know you disagree with that. As far as Rebecca's Law, I think that is a good one. I think the mother of Rebecca, in her campaign to have harsher penalties for bullying and cyberbullying is a really good campaign. And I would like to see that go through, and I would like to see the presence of that law, once it gets put into place, be taught in school so that the kids know you don't do this, or you put it up on the Facebook pages or whatever they're using.
Yeah.
I actually don't think Facebook is a kids thing. I think it's more of older people.
Oh, sure.
It started out as a kids thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's older people, but...
I think kids are using the photo one and maybe Twitter.
Mm-hmm. But the mother of Rebecca knew this bullying was going on, and I believe that this mother, took it up with the school officials, and the school officials took it up with the parents of the girls, and the girls' parents didn't do anything about it. If they would have done something about it, then Rebecca might still be alive today.
Right. Well, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, but those parents of those girls doing the bad things knew.
And I don't disagree with that. But I'm just saying that the two girls, 12 and 14 years old, I don't think as horrible as it is, as wrong as it is, I don't think that they did something that they knew would actually cause another human being to destroy herself. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible, sad story. Anyway, it is another big story from the state of Florida this year. There was an explosion at the Blue Rhino plant in Tavares in July. Do you remember this one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
this was an unbelievable one.
Yeah.
Lake County, right next door to us in Marion County. The Blue Rhino propane plant just exploded in the middle of the night, sent a loud explosion that sent flames shooting up more than 100 feet, sent some of those propane tanks
into the air.
And in fact, I think I remember one went through a roof and caused a big hole, remember?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a horrible
The explosions continued for hours. Once the fire mostly burned itself out, 8 plant workers were hospitalized. 53,000 burned propane canisters were spread across the plant. Some were sent flying off the property. One tank damaged a nearby home. That's the one I was just remembering. Mm-hmm. It remains unknown what started the explosive chain reaction, and state and federal investigators determined no crime was committed at the plant. That's hard to believe, too.
Yeah.
The couple whose home was damaged by a canister that burned a hole through their roof has filed a lawsuit against Blue Rhino seeking $15,000 in damages, but that's not much, considering what they have to go through.
Yeah, but they're probably very conservative and knew it was an accident, and they don't want to take them to the cleaners like other people want to take other businesses to the cleaners.
That's right. They just want their repairs fixed. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm with you. And I'm with them. So, and I believe... Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe nobody died from that one, right?
Right. I believe everybody wasn't, no one died.
And then, of course, we had this story from right here in Marion County back in August, more than 2 years after the shooting, death, and dismemberment of 15-year-old Seth Jackson in Summerfield. A jury convicted Michael Bargo of plotting and committing the brutal murder. As you know, he was sentenced to the death penalty. He sits on death row right now, 21 years old, the youngest inmate ever.
That's right.
He is the 5th person convicted for the murder of Seth Jackson. The other 4, ranging in age from 15 to 20 at the time of the killing, all received life sentences.
Good.
Bargo faced the death penalty for his role as the alleged mastermind behind the plot. One of the images that I have in my mind from that was he trying to convince the jury that he wasn't even there. I mean, he was just, you could see, when you know a liar, you can see it. We've lived long enough that we've known some people who are just plain liars.
Exactly.
And you could see him, and he just fit everything you've ever known about a liar.
Yeah, exactly. No, he deserves to die, and all those other people that were with him deserves to be in life imprisonment with no hope of parole. They don't need to get out.
These are the big stories that made the news here in Florida in 2013. The next one, back in May of 2013, a Chechen immigrant shot and killed in Orlando after a violent confrontation with an FBI agent had ties to the suspects in the deadly bombing at the Boston Marathon 1 month earlier. His name was Ibrahim Tudashev's Chechen. roots. I'm sorry, no, that's not. He is a Chechen. I'm sorry, that's not his name. His name is Ibrahim Todashev. His Chechen roots and mixed martial arts background mirror that of Tamerlan Samayev. I've always had a hard time pronouncing those guys' names. The Boston bombing suspect killed in the shootout with police. Todashev, who is 27 years old, had also lived in the Boston area. 3 law enforcement officials speaking on condition of anonymity said that Todashev had lunged at the FBI agent with a knife. However, 2 of those officials said later in the day it was no longer clear what had happened. The 3rd official had not received any new information. The FBI gave no details on why it was interested in Todashev, except to say that he was being questioned as part of the Boston bombing investigation. 2 officials briefed on the investigation said he had implicated himself as having been involved in the 2011 triple slaying in a Boston suburb that authorities believe may have been connected to Tamerlan Tsmayev, however you say the Boston bombing suspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we haven't heard about the other one that they kept and they hospitalized and they made better. We had heard nothing about that guy.
Except that his face got put on the cover of what Rolling Stone magazine?
Yeah, which was really bad.
Which marked the end of my ever buying the magazine.
Yeah.
I would never buy that magazine again. That was the stupidest thing to do.
It was.
Another big story that came out of Florida in 2013 was in August. A trial date for what could become Brevard County's biggest story of the year was set when a judge initially scheduled the murder trial of the 2 suspects accused of killing Deputy Barbara Pill. That trial has been set for January of next month, in other words. However, attorneys for Brandon Bradley and Andrea Kirchner then asked for their clients to be tried separately, arguing neither would get a fair trial if they were both tried together. The suspects were granted separate trials. Bradley, who faces the death penalty for shooting Deputy Pill in the head during a traffic stop, will be tried first, starting January 27th. Kirchner's trial will begin after Bradley's is finished.
Gosh.
The judge also threw out a police interview with Kirchner following her arrest after her attorneys argued she demanded a lawyer and was in a state of mania, under the influence of drugs and unable to control what she was saying.
Yeah, of course she was. There's always an excuse.
These are the big stories from the state of Florida. In 2013, the next one, a 15-year-old was charged with 2 murders in Osceola County back in June. Kissimmee police say 15-year-old Conrad Schaefer was looking for random targets and thought it would be fun to shoot a person. That's a quote.
Yeah.
When the teen allegedly killed 17-year-old David Guerrero, who was walking to a bus stop on his way to work. Unbelievable.
I know.
Investigators said Schaefer and 20-year-old Damas, both charged with first-degree murder for Guerrero's death, were also connected to the killing of Eric Rupnarine, who was found dead in his Poinciana home on July 4th. Schaefer's father, Lothar Schaefer, was arrested in August, accused of buying the gun used in both murders. Lothar Schaefer said he bought the gun for himself and Conrad stole it. Schaefer will head to trial in February. State Attorney Jeff Ashton said he will prosecute the case against the teen himself.
Yep. Just because you're a teenager doesn't mean you're innocent. You know what you're doing.
And the next
That's
one.
what I think.
Next one, back in November, it was a done deal in August when Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer and Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs agreed to fund a $20 million multi-purpose stadium for the Orlando City Soccer Club. 3 months later, Major League Soccer made it official, announcing Orlando as the league's 21st franchise. The Lions won the USL Pro Championship match in September, the franchise's second championship since being founded in 2010. In October, the Orlando City Council unanimously approved funding for the new stadium, a move the team said would bring Major League Soccer to Orlando. The Orange County Commission followed suit, approving a plan a week later. While waiting for their new home to be built, the Lions announced they will play its 2014 home games at the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex at Walt Disney World. The only fun story of all the big news stories that came out of Florida this year, although you might want to throw in our own stadium story, the one with the Yankees farm team.
Oh, yeah.
Wanting us to chip in to pay for the stadium that's being built here. The guys in the afternoon do a really good job talking about that and getting the word out about that. Of course, they're all for it. I'm actually for the idea of a stadium. I think that would be cool to have a stadium. But I'm also for the idea of the public voting on whether or not we should install, what's the word? Put in place a half-cent sales tax.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm in favor of the stadium. That's a no-brainer. It'd be nice to have it. I think the claims that it'll bring jobs is probably true.
Yeah.
But the idea that we pay for it with tax money is the real issue, not whether we want it or not.
Exactly.
In my mind. So whether we pay for it or not should be up to us, the voters. Half-cent sales tax would be what we'd vote for or against.
Right.
If it was me, hey, when we were talking about a tax for the education, we were talking about a tax for the hospitals.
Exactly.
You know, these were the things we voted for or against. You know, and in the case of this one, it should be the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and the schools and the hospital was voted down, but that was the voters speaking. But this one, people shouldn't be forced to vote for something if they don't believe in it.
All right, so those are the stories. I don't know if that last one is really qualified as a big story of the year. Maybe it's going to be in 2014.
Yeah.
But right now it's kind of a bubbling story, at least here in Marion County.
And if it's put on the ballot and then it passes, then every other business that wants to start a business here in Marion County should have that right to go up to the county commission and request their business to be put on the ballot and see if part of their business can be funded by taxpayer dollars too.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if, you know, they're setting precedents.
And eventually everybody would say, you know what, that's enough. We don't want any more.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah, but you could argue, does a mom and pop grocery store attract tourists? So you could argue that a baseball stadium could attract tourists. But still, that's not the point. The point is, should we pay for it? That's the point.
Exactly.
All right. We've got, it is just about 10:30, about a minute away, and we've got a guest coming on, Marianne Williamson. She's written a touching book. It's called A Year of Miracles, Daily Devotions and Reflections. She has been on the Oprah Winfrey Show, on Larry King's show, on Good Morning America, Charlie Rose, and she's a well-known lecturer, tours the United States and the world, and she's a New York Times best-selling author. So we'll make room for our only guest of this morning when we come back. This is The Source, WOCA.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
ABC News Now. I'm Karen Chase. FedEx is defending itself from a barrage of customer criticism over late holiday deliveries. The company issued a statement saying their overall service success level was over 99%. UPS apologized and pledged to get things delivered today or tomorrow. The number of people filing for first-time unemployment benefits dropped 42,000 last week, the biggest drop in over a year. But economists say the numbers are warped by holiday volatility. Expect crowds if you're heading to the stores today. It's the second wave of holiday shopping. The day after Christmas is a busy day for people returning gifts they didn't want and redeeming gift cards. A Russian polar expedition ship is still stuck in the ice in Antarctica. The 74 people aboard are cooling their heels, waiting for 3 rescue ships to arrive. They say they have enough food and supplies, so they're not in any immediate danger, but it's cold comfort. Lung cancer isn't always a death sentence. A new Duke University study found 1 in 5 cancerous lung tumors are better off untreated because they grow too slowly to become deadly or even cause symptoms. This is ABC News.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, and right now during Happy Honda Days, you could get a great deal on a 2013 Civic. It's packed with standard features like hands-free calling, and it's the first car in its class to receive an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. And if that's not special enough, drink in this holiday ditty from the legendary pipes of Michael Bolton.
The special time of year, it's full of joy and cheer for me and you.
Everything's a little more special during Happy Honda Days. See your Honda dealer today.
In 1952, Martha's parents drove her home in their brand spanking new coupe they just insured with a spiffy outfit called Geico.
In 1967, Chad got a far-out policy from Geico and saved himself some bodacious bread.
In 1994, Natalie got the 411 from her homegirls on a fat with a PH insurance policy from Geico. Word to your mother.
Over the past 75 years, the expressions have changed, but one thing hasn't: saving money with Geico.
The weather is brought to you by MyFWC.com. Life jackets save lives. Wear it, Florida. We'll have some fog around this morning, otherwise clouds and a few sunny breaks today with a shower spots along the coast in the morning. The high today 71 to 75. Mostly cloudy tonight with a shower in spots, the low 61 to 65. Tomorrow mostly cloudy with a shower or two around, the high 71 to 75. For Saturday, clouds and sun with a chance of a shower, high 75 to 79. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Legally Yours, brought to you by Fuller & Fuller Attorneys at Law. On the air every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. with John Fuller, a board-certified civil trial lawyer for over 25 years. John welcomes your questions, from business to complex family matters to legal disputes. So tune in every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. for Legally Yours with John Fuller, right here on WOCA 1370 AM and 96.3 FM, The Source.
Stay informed on everything going on in the Villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the Villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village Spectator today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing.
That is one sound no one likes to hear, but if it happens, know that it will be reported in seconds to the right authorities. AA Lock, Dock, and Security is your company for your home and your business. AA Lock, Dock, and Security, where you can get that extra key made or have your lock rekeyed. Questions to protect your home and business? Call 352-867-1965 or stop by AA Lock, Dock, and Security at their new location, 219 Northwest 10th Street here in Ocala. Remember, be proactive, not reacting after it happens. Call 352-867-1965.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting the Habitat for Humanity Ocala home store on Northwest 27th Avenue. To schedule a donation, give them a call and they'll come and pick it up. For more information, visit habitatocala.org. Habitat for Humanity of Marion County, building homes, building hope, building community.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.